my Virgil home neath the maiden tea hill, my Virgil home, that heaven of mine, the home of my parents so loving and kind. I love them so and I always will, and my Virgil home neath the maiden tea hill.
Good evening. Welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight's stories include
even say a partial fish.
Whoa, that's a big one. Huh?
these stories and more coming up after these words from our sponsor. Custom Carpets. If you don't know us, your neighbor does. Looking to spruce up any room in your home? If it's wallpaper or vertical blinds you're looking for, you'll find it at Custom Carpets. If you need new floor coverings, you'll find them at great prices. Looking to give the house a facelift? We have interior and exterior paints in lots of brilliant shades. Custom Carpets open Tuesday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5:30. Open Thursdays till 9. Custom Carpets, more than just a carpet store.
Hi, I'm Tammy. Tamara and I are champs, members of the War Amps Child Amputee Program. I lost my leg when I was 2. I chased a ball onto the street and was hit by a car. Now I warn young children to play safe. Remember, spot the danger before you play.
Safety is no accident, so play safe.
A message from the War Amps.
Walk for Memories, a walk organized to raise money for Alzheimer's, was held here in Burgeo last weekend.
Well, I was just going to say, now, you probably would, for sure say that on your head, didn't you?
Earlier this summer, the employees at the local weather office were laid off as the office was automated. New automated equipment was added to the weather office this past week. I spoke with Tony Hilton about the renovations to the weather station. We're here outside the local weather office with Tony Hilton. I understand you're here carrying out some renovations to the local weather station here in Burgeo. Can you tell us the nature of the renovations?
Well, we're just adding 2 more instruments to the current sensor suite. We're going to put a camera in that will look towards the east. And we're also putting in a visibility sensor which will give a numeric value or a value in kilometers of the actual visibility here. Other than that, it's just a standard sensor suite that was here before.
Okay, so where will this equipment be operated from?
The equipment is all fully automatic, so it operates here, but there'll be drops. That is, the information can be picked up by the Newfoundland Weather Center and by the Maritimes Weather Center in Halifax.
Okay, so when do you expect this new equipment that you're installing to be up and operating?
Well, hopefully by week's end. The weather, the information, as I said, will go back to the Maritimes Weather Center, and speaking with one of your technicians this morning who said when you subscribe to the Weather Network that real-time information from this station will actually be broadcast on your cable throughout the town.
Okay, so we'll have first-hand information coming right from this equipment.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review coming up after this. Looking to spruce up those dreary walls? Custom Carpets has what you need. Paints, wallpaper, and borders in hundreds of colors, patterns, and styles to choose from. Tired of those cupboards or countertop? Ready for a change? Try our melamine paint and give your old counters, toys, furniture, etc. a whole new look. Problems with mildew? Platinum Plus Kitchen and Bath Enamel, available in dozens of colors, is ideal for all your kitchen, bath, and laundry room needs. All this and more at Custom Carpets, more than just a carpet store.
Each year in Canada, hundreds of fires are started by young children playing with lighters and matches. Teach your children that lighters and matches are not toys. And keep lighters and matches out of sight and out of reach of children. The consequences couldn't be more deadly. A message from Health Canada and this broadcaster.
Next week, October 8th to 14th, will be observed as Fire Prevention Week across Canada. This past week, preschool started for this school year. We stopped by the school on Thursday to visit Mrs. Rose's preschool class.
Fits together. Just a second, please. When it all fits together like that. That's how it goes. Okay? If you need to help, just sing it to me, and all the pictures are in there. Oh, we have to get started. Remember what we did yesterday when we started? Now who's going to say our prayer today? Everybody? Ready? Father bless our class today. Be in all we do and say. Be in every song we sing. Every prayer to thee we bring. Good. Can anybody remember our song? Okay. Can everybody want to try it? Yeah. Okay. It says, good evening. evening to you. Good evening to you. Good evening, dear friends. Good evening to you. Here. Good girl. Bethany Ann. Okay. Now let's see. Now, who wants to get to know one another? Good. Jeremy, you want to tell us a little bit of something about yourself? Okay. Where do you think your leaf goes to? There. That's a big leaf, isn't it? Can you tell me the color? Can you tell me what color it is?
The Burgeo Lions and Lioness hosted a seniors party for the senior citizens, widows, and widowers of our community on Thursday evening. We stopped by the Lions Center to see if the seniors were having a good time.
The next thing is the introduction of the kid table. And I'll begin on my right. And as I call your name, stand, please. So we begin with Reverend George Choiles and his wife Myrtle. Dr. Dill and his wife Leanne. The oldest male senior, George Bill Ingram. And the oldest female senior, Mrs. Lydia Green. Okay, she's going to stay sitting. And we then have Lion President, Doug Kendall, and his wife, Lioness President, wife Diane. We have Reverend Byron Barber, New Wakeling Minister, Burgeo. We welcome him to his first Lions function. And Reverend Marilyn Avery, the church minister. So, big hand for the team. Thank you, Chairman Lion Fred. Members of the clergy.
Lions President Doug Kendall addressed the seniors.
Fellow Lions, Lioness, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Lions Club, I bid you welcome. I trust, as always, you will have a very enjoyable evening. I feel safe in saying there is no project or event that gives us more pleasure or satisfaction than hosting a party for you, our senior citizens. This is your evening, and we are here to serve you. I would like to thank Lion Fred and his committee for organizing this event. I would also like to thank Lioness Gloria and her committee. This is just another example of Lions and Lioness working together for the good of our community. Again, welcome one and all. I wish everyone an enjoyable evening. Have a safe journey home, and good luck, good happiness in the days ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Lioness President Diane Kendall also had a few words to say.
Wednesday, Senior Citizens Party. I wish you all a very enjoyable evening, and it's indeed a great pleasure for us to serve you once again. Thank you very much.
Okay, I thought I'd try to come up with a joke to tell you. It's always nice to have a little laugh at a time like this. Trying to get a good job. There was a Newfoundlander in Nova Scotia who entered a contest. But before they could claim the prize, they had to answer a question. And the question was, Old MacDonald had a, and they had to fill in the blank. And And so the Nova Scotian said to himself, you know, this is pretty easy. You know, there's a trick here somewhere. You know, not as easy as what we think it is. So he said, old MacDonald had a conglomerate. That's a big word. Anyway, and so the person said, yeah, that's a good answer. So the Nupi was there waving his hand, you know. He couldn't wait to be asked. So he said, okay, Nupi, your turn now. So Nupi said, yeah, I know. He said, old MacDonald had a farm. But I said, right, good for you. And he said, now can you spell it? He said, yes, E-I-E-I-O. So that's the Nupi for you. I have another little one. Doug and Stan, were driving to Halifax one day in a big truck. That's Lion Doug and Lion Stan. Lion Doug, our president. And they were driving along in their truck. And after a while they came across this truck that was broke down on the highway. And it was a truck much the same as theirs. So they, being good lions, you know, and trying to help, they decided they would stop and see if there's anything they could do. So they stopped and went along and spoke to the driver, and he said, yeah, he had trouble. But he had a load of monkeys on board, and he was taking them to the zoo. So Stan looked at Doug and he said, well, you know, we might as well help him a bit if we can. And they said, well, the two of them agreed that they would take the monkeys to the zoo for this fellow, seeing his truck was broke down. So anyway, they took the monkeys and off they went to the zoo. So that evening, apparently the fellow who was previously taking the monkeys, who had trouble with his truck there, he was downtown in Halifax, and he saw Doug and Stan coming up the street there, and all these monkeys behind them, you know, behind them. So he said, hey, Nupi, come over here. So he said, why do you have these monkeys? He said, I thought I paid you. He did give them some money to take the monkeys to the zoo. He said, I paid you to take the monkeys to the zoo. And he said, what are you doing now? Well, Stan and Doug said, we did take them to the zoo, but we had some money left over, so now we're taking them to the movies.
Minister of Fisheries, Food and Agriculture, Dr. Bud Hulan, was in Burgeo last Sunday. During his visit, he stopped by our studio for this interview. Speaking with me in our studio today is Mr. Bud Hulan, Minister of Fisheries. Welcome to our studio, Mr. Hulan.
Thank you.
Can you tell us the nature of your visit to Burgeo today?
Well, I came down to primarily to pick up a boat, and we're going to join a small boat here in Burgeo to make a trip from here to Galtus and Hermitage. I wanted to meet with fishermen's groups, our fishermen groups from here to Hermitage into places such as Grey River, Francois, McCollum, and Galtus, groups that I was not able to contact last fall when I came down along this coast. We were unable to get into those sites at that time. And so that's the real reason for the trip. And since I was coming into to Burgeo to join the vessel, I thought it was a good idea to speak with the Fishermen's Committee here, and that's what I just did for the last hour and a half or so.
Okay, so how did your meeting go here?
Very, very good. There were a lot of questions concerning the fishery and what licenses might be available, how does one get to explore some of these new underutilized species fisheries and so on. So it was very, very, and of course they had some other questions with regard to the Marine Service Center here and a number of other things of concern to them, more specifically here in Burgeo. Yeah.
Can you tell us the latest that you've heard on how the rebuilding of the cod stocks is progressing?
Well, the Sentinel fishery this year, that's the fishery of fishermen working together jointly with scientists around the coast of the island. They found some pretty good schools or stocks of northern cod in several of the bays. The indications are that there is certainly a return or a strengthening of the stocks. We're not anywhere near a position where we can say that this year or next year we'll have a full-fledged fishery again. But on that note, I believe all indications are that if there's any one location in the province that will probably have the first chance at say a partial fishery in the future, in the very near future, it's more than likely going to be along the south coast here, because the indications are the stocks along the 3PS area is certainly more healthy than the rest of the areas of the province.
Okay, reports have it that the inshore fishery in this area could be open even as early as next year. Is this? That's what
I can confirm that it probably will be a somewhat limited fishery, but certainly there is every possibility that might happen.
Foreign overfishing has been a big problem in recent years too, but talk of it has died down some in the last few months. Are the foreigners taking Newfoundlanders and Canadians more seriously now than in the past?
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. The federal government's approach and a consistent approach with regard to conservation. The provincial government of this province has supported Mr. Tobin and the federal government in the constant request or even demand for conservation of the stocks. It's definitely having a beneficial effect, and I don't think there's any question that we're being taken much more serious, and certainly we must hold the line there and continue on the same course as we've done in the past couple of years.
Okay, Mr. Hulan, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, other than the fact that the I'm pleased that the fishermen in this area are inquisitive and looking at other species that they might get involved with. As you probably know, we are doing an exploratory fishery right now on the hagfish. There's appears to be a tremendous resource of hagfish off the coast here. Or slime eels, they're sometimes referred to. We're looking at whether this is the actual same product that has, there's a considerable market for it in such places as Korea. And the skin of that fish is used in that country as tanned and processed as leather. It's a very strong leather, and so there's an indication that there may be a great industry there. We know that there's a fair amount of rock and toad crab off this coast right along here. And again, that fishery is something that fishermen in this area are certainly interested in getting involved in. They had questions of me today as to how they're best harvest and so on and so forth. There is also indication that of a keen interest in sea urchin. A number of people here have license for sea urchin, but as they have been saying, there's no one to process it. That is of interest to me. I've run into that in another place in the province, and I will be looking at that very, very seriously in the coming weeks and so on, because after all, if there's a resource there and we can harvest it, we should be certainly able with our technology today, and it's all readily available, to make sure that we process the product. There's a good market for sea urchin. Fishermen here today wondered again how best it could be harvested. What has been a problem, and it still is a problem, is that sea urchin caught in lobster pots have not been permitted to be taken ashore because it's considered a bycatch. Whereas if you if crab get into the lobster pot, you can take that ashore. And that is something that I will be addressing very, very quickly with the federal minister. That must be, or hopefully will be changed, because the other way in which sea urchins are harvested through diving, and since the roe quality and content is high and is highest in the sea urchin along our coast in January and February, creates a problem for diving that time of the year. So we have to certainly look at the other methods of harvesting sea urchin, and certainly I will be doing that as soon as I get back in St. John's.
Okay, Mr. Hulan, well, we'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come by and speak with us.
It's been my pleasure.
We'd like to invite you in and any further visits to Burgeo to come by and speak with us again.
Well, I've been in Burgeo. I was appointed just a year ago to this ministry, and I've been in Burgeo twice within that year. This is the second trip within the year, and it's certainly my pleasure for me to always come to Burgeo, and certainly the people of this area and the fishermen in particular all along the south coast have a very special place in my thinking, and I made that clear last year, and I'll repeat it again now.
Okay, well, thanks for stopping by our studio.
Thank you.
Our guest today is Mr. Bud Hulan, Minister of Fisheries. Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review after these words from tonight's sponsor. Custom carpets for all your flooring needs. Carpets in hundreds of colors and styles, starting as low as $5.99 a square yard. Cushion floor in hundreds of patterns and designs to suit your needs from $5.99 a square yard. Also self-stick tiles only 69 cents, commercial tiles 89 cents. Carpet runners regular $10.99 a foot, now only $6.99. Area rugs regular $129.99, now only $89.95. For your free in-home estimate, call us at 886-3300. Custom carpets. If you don't know us, your neighbor does.
Each year in Canada, hundreds of fires are started by children playing with lighters and matches. Children as young as 18 months can operate a lighter and start fires. The consequences couldn't be more deadly. Keep lighters and matches out of sight and out of reach of children. A message from Health Canada and this broadcaster.
This week, as we scanned our tape racks, we came across a video of Education Week 1987 at the elementary school. How many of these little ones do you recognize? A few weeks back, we visited the Bay St. George SPCA to see some of the animals there that needed good homes. Here is the SPCA's Pet of the Week. At our office for anyone who would like to donate any old collars, leashes, blankets, towels, pet toys, etc., or pet food to the SPCA in Stephenville. And I'll be back again next Sunday with the happenings from the week on This Week in Review. Until then, thanks for watching. For This Week in Review, I'm Dave Cooper. Good night.